Bonjour tout le monde. Thank you everyone for joining us here today. My name is Paul Lefebvre and I am the Member of Parliament for Sudbury. Before we introduce our guests of honor, I'd like to present a few of my colleagues here. Marc, Serrée, we have MPP Glenn Thibeault, as well as Your Worship, Mayor Bigger, and our colleague from Nipissing to Miskiving, Anthony Rota. This truly is an historic day for Sudbury. In electing a new government, millions of Canadians signal their desire for change. Our government was elected in part because we took that desire seriously. We offered Canadians an ambitious new plan for a strong middle class, investments in infrastructure, and a new relationship with our First Nations. Promised that we would do all of that so that we can have every Canadian succeed. I'm proud to say that Budget 2016 is an important part of fulfilling that promise. That's why we're all here today. Monsieur Premier Ministre, re-bienvenue à Sudbury. Yes. Our Prime Minister is no stranger to Sudbury. I would even dare to say that he's the federal leader that has been here the most in Sudbury. So we're welcoming him back here again. Our Prime Minister knows, like we all do, that Sudbury is the mining capital of the world and is a global hub for mining innovation and technology. And that Sudbury is the cultural and artistic capital of Northern Ontario. Je dis toujours que Sudbury est un microcosme du Canada, bilingue, multiculturel, où les arts et la culture règnent suprême. Mr. Trudeau knows that Sudbury's Snow Lab was the key to Dr. Art McDonald's winning the 2015 Nobel Prize for Physics. And that Sudbury is home to some of the most advanced environmental and green technology research in the world. In fact, a few weeks ago, Greg Fergus, Parliamentary Secretary to Kathleen Wynne, was in Sudbury and left very impressed by the innovation and resourcefulness of Sudburyans. However, as we all know, while the creative sector in Sudbury is thriving, the resource sector is struggling. And I'm proud to say that Budget 2016 addresses these concerns. Ce budget offre une aide immédiate aux personnes qui en ont le plus besoin et établit les bases d'une croissance économique inclusive et durable au profit de la classe moyenne et de ceux et celles qui travaillent fort pour en faire partie. Mr. Prime Minister, I am proud to be on your team. I am very proud to promote Budget 2016 in Sudbury. I'm proud to participate in today's historic announcement. Please join me, s'il vous plaît, vous joindre à moi pour accueillir le très honorable Justin Trudeau.
Bon après-midi tout le monde. Merci d'être là avec nous. Thank you for joining us today. It's great to be back in Sudbury. We just wrapped up an incredibly productive discussion here at Sudbury City Hall. I'm happy to have been joined by the Mayor, Provincial Representative Glenn Thibeault, Federal Representatives Paul Lefebvre, Anthony Rota, and Marc Serrée, along with the Council behind us. We engaged in a robust discussion on the needs facing the people of Sudbury. Avant d'aller dans les détails de ce que nous avons accompli aujourd'hui, je veux revenir un petit peu sur ce que les rencontres comme celle-ci veulent dire et pourquoi elles sont importantes. Comme plusieurs d'entre vous le savent déjà, notre nouveau gouvernement fédéral a été élu après avoir promis aux Canadiens du vrai changement, à la fois dans ce que nous faisons et dans comment nous le faisons. Les Canadiens s'attendent à ce que leurs représentants de tous les ordres du gouvernement collaborent pour faire ce qu'il y a à faire. C'est vrai au fédéral, au provincial et au municipal. Les gens s'attendent à ce qu'ils travaillent ensemble pour obtenir les résultats que les communautés méritent. Mon gouvernement prend ce partenariat au sérieux. Pas seulement parce que c'est une attente à notre égard, mais parce que c'est le meilleur moyen de bien servir nos citoyens. Good decisions are born from communication and collaboration. And today's discussion here in Sudbury is a great example of just that. In our first federal budget, released just a few weeks ago, my government outlined $120 billion in infrastructure investment over the next 10 years. This funding will help to create good jobs, better our communities, and grow the middle class. So after discussion with representatives in Sudbury today, I am pleased to announce that the Government of Canada will invest $26.7 million in the Sudbury Maley Drive Extension project. In partnership with the Government of Ontario and the City of Sudbury, this investment will fund the creation of a new, much-needed east-to-west arterial link through the city. This important initiative will reduce traffic congestion, improve commuter safety, and get people home on time, and take ore trucks off LaSalle. My government is proud to invest in Sudbury and the people that call it home. By working together, we can and will build a better future for the middle class and those working hard to join it. Thank you once again for being here this afternoon. My friend Marc Serrée from Nickel Belt is going to say a few concluding remarks, and then I'll be back at the podium to take questions from media. Merci beaucoup.
Avant que Marc, Avant que Marc dise des mots pour la conclusion, j'aimerais inviter M. Glenn Thibeault. There is no greater advocate for our city than our next speaker. Even before he was in public service, Glenn Thibeault was someone I knew to be a strong and valuable community partner. In Toronto, he is parliamentary assistant to the Minister of Environment and Climate Change. In Sudbury, he is a member of provincial parliament. S'il vous plaît, accueillir Glenn Thibeault. Please welcome Glenn Thibeault.
This is what happens when you mess with security. Thanks, Mark.
Not my security. Mine are nice guys. Sunny ways.
Anyways, welcome to Sudbury, Mr. Prime Minister. The weather cooperated. We're calling it Sprinter, or other ways we're dealing with that. But it truly is a pleasure for us to have you here today. Here in Sudbury on this announcement and this great announcement that we're doing. I know provincially our government is committed to investing in infrastructure in communities right across Ontario. This includes building and revitalizing roads, bridges and highways to improve commute times and make travel safer. Today's announcement is also part of the largest infrastructure investment in Ontario's history, $160 billion over 12 years, creating an average of 110,000 jobs annually. Yes, thanks. As a lifelong resident of Sudbury, I know how important the Maley Drive Extension is to our city. We've heard about this project for over the last 30 years, and now it's finally becoming a reality. And the benefits just don't include reducing traffic flow on LaSalle Boulevard and the Kingsway. There will be more options for local drivers and alternate routes for mining companies. And let's not forget that 800 jobs will be created during this expansion, a net economic value of over $135 million. That is why our provincial government is 100% behind this project as we reach out our hand in partnership to both the city and to the federal government. I really can't wait to see the shovels in the ground on Maley Drive. And there's so many of you here today that is great to come out and celebrate this announcement. I think you're also here to see the Prime Minister because in the last 8 years that I've been doing announcements as a politician, my wife has never come out to one, and she's here today. So it's great seeing her here. Thank you again. Thanks to the federal government for partnering with us and the city, and I can't wait to see this in the ground. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Glenn. Merci beaucoup. As we've heard, this is a significant announcement for Sudbury. Sudbury has been waiting for over 20 years for today's announcement. It would not be possible without the strong, dedicated commitment of our Mayor, City Council, and staff. Please welcome His Worship, Mayor Brian Bigger.
Thank you, Paul. I would like to formally welcome you, Prime Minister Trudeau, to the City of Greater Sudbury. And thank you very much. And I'm much shorter than you. We're all very thrilled and very honored to host you here at Tommy Davies Square. Bienvenue, Premier Ministre Trudeau, à la ville de Grand Sudbury. C'est un honneur. Welcome. And I'd like to acknowledge my fellow councillors who are all here in attendance today. They've been a great source of support in bringing this Maley Drive project forward. Thank you for being here to share in this momentous occasion for our community. Maley Drive has been a priority of the city, as you've heard, for over 25 years. La promenade Maley a été une priorité de la ville de Grand Sudbury depuis plus de 25 ans. On behalf of Council and the residents of Greater Sudbury, I'd like to sincerely thank the Government of Canada investment of over $26 million for the first phase of Maley Drive. This, in conjunction with the provincial investment of the same amount through the Build Canada Fund and our investment, will allow us to proceed with the project. Thank you to Glenn Thibeault and our provincial counterparts as well. The project is critical to the economy of Greater Sudbury. Ce projet est essentiel à l'économie de Grand Sudbury. And why? It will create 780 jobs and save residents $11.1 million annually. It's forward-thinking and will build not only to meet current demand, but future needs, a city for our children and our grandchildren. And I'm proud that the Government of Canada and the Province of Ontario have recognized the importance of this project and will invest more than $50 million in Greater Sudbury. Now is the time to invest in new projects, to grow, and to succeed as a city, to contribute to our economy, to create jobs, and build for the future. We see a vision of growth for our community, and we want to see it flourish and succeed. Nous voyons une vision de croissance pour notre communauté et nous voulons la voir s'épanouir et réussir. We need to invest in our community to see it grow, and as a council, we're looking at other projects that will do just that as well. So, Mr. Prime Minister, Marc, Paul, Glenn, you'll be hearing from us in the near future on a number of other items we'll be undertaking in our community. I know Council is keen to continue to invest in our infrastructure, and this is just the beginning. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't thank former Mayor Marianne Matichuk for her advocacy on this project. Thank you very much. As well as Tony Cecutti, General Manager of Infrastructure Services, David Shelstad, Director of Roads and Transportation, and Jody Cameron on our project manager on this file for all of their hard work. All of these individuals, among many others, have contributed to the success of Maley Drive. And again, thank you to the Government of Canada and the Province of Ontario for this investment and faith in our community. It's truly appreciated by Council and the residents of the City of Greater Sudbury. Merci.
Thank you, Mayor Bigger. As you've heard today, our government is investing in Canada and in Canadians. We're investing in industries and students in our cities. We're investing in Sudbury and the resourcefulness of Sudburyans. I know that I and my counterpart in Nickel Belt are very much looking forward to working with all of you to continue building this beautiful, smart, resourceful, and always exciting city of Greater Sudbury. So please welcome my good friend and colleague, Member of Parliament for Nickel Belt, Marc Serrée, to say a few words.
Merci, Paul. Good afternoon. Bonjour, Annie. What a fantastic day to be here in Greater Sudbury, Northern Ontario. And Mr. Prime Minister, we have to do this again very soon. It's a tremendous honor and privilege to be co-hosting with Paul, my colleague Anthony, our Prime Minister today. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, for your commitment to us. Thank you for hearing our message. Thank you for the time in your busy schedule, despite the weather, to be here in Northern Ontario and Greater Sudbury. Finally, Northern Ontario has a partner in Ottawa. Innovation and infrastructure investments are key to rebuilding Canada's economy. Votre dévouement envers nous comme députés, Monsieur le Premier ministre, avec Paul, Anthony, moi-même et tout le caucus du Nord de l'Ontario, ainsi que le Grand Sudbury et le Nord de l'Ontario est très, très apprécié. Finalement, le Nord a un partenaire avec Ottawa. Voilà qui est essentiel à investir dans l'innovation, l'infrastructure pour rebâtir une économie canadienne. It goes without saying that a project like this does not happen overnight, nor is the work of one or two people. For many years since this project was conceived, there were a lot of people who added their voice to the chorus. I would like to acknowledge Mayor Brian Bigger, his council, the many councils before who kept Maley Drive #1 on their priority list. Thank you to our provincial counterpart, Glenn Thibeault, for securing that provincial contribution. Thank you to the Greater City of Sudbury Chamber of Commerce, Debbie Nicholson, and the Board of Governors for advocating on this project from day one throughout all these years. Today really sends a new era of optimism in Greater Sudbury and Northern Ontario. And thank you to the investments like the one that we're making today. Canadian communities will remain among the best places in the world to live, grow, and invest. Thank you again, Mr. Prime Minister, for your commitment to Northern Ontario, Nickel Belt, and Greater Sudbury. Merci, miigwech. Thank you. I'd like to call upon now our Prime Minister to answer questions from the media.
Merci, Marc.
Darren McDonald, Sudbury Northern Life newspaper. As you may be aware, Maley Drive has been a priority for about 30 years, so it took a long time for the funding to come through. What I'm wondering is, with other infrastructure projects, arts, infrastructure, other roads, is there a chance that we're going to get more sort of support in the current round of funding?
But one of the things that we put forward as an election platform, and indeed in this budget, is a need to invest in our communities, to create opportunities for our citizens, to create economic growth that's going to give everyone opportunities to succeed. And that's exactly what the federal government is going to do. It's not up to us to pick and choose what projects communities like Sudbury want and need. It's up to us to work in partnership with the province, with the municipality, to fund the projects that you've prioritized. I had an excellent conversation with the council today on issues from wastewater to roads to seniors housing and issues like that. And we are certainly going to continue to be a strong and active partner in the coming months and years to the community of Sudbury.
Hello, I'm Carrie Trounson. I'm with CTV Northern Ontario, and I'm wondering if any of this infrastructure money that the federal government is allocating is going to any of our First Nations communities that, desperately need infrastructure. For instance, Pikangikum First Nation, where 9 people just died. They don't have any roads. So is any money going to those communities? In
2005, Paul Martin signed with Indigenous leaders from across the country, the Kelowna Accord. That was a landmark historic investment of $5 billion that would address housing, roads, infrastructure, education, healthcare needs in Indigenous communities across this country. Unfortunately, the government changed, and for 10 years we've had, something that wasn't the Kelowna Accord, and a lack of investment and partnership by the government. That's why in our very first budget, the Liberal Party put forward, the Liberal government put forward a historic $8.6 billion of investment in Indigenous communities, in education, in infrastructure, in making sure that everyone across the country, including here in Northern Ontario, gets the opportunity to succeed and is recognized as a full partner, not just in Canada's present success, but in the future that we're going to build together. Merci.
Prime Minister Terry Pitwell with Canadian Press. I want to ask you a simple kind of personal question first before I get into a regional question. I wonder what your thoughts are on international tax havens and whether there's any justification in your mind for national leaders to siphon away money into places where they can circumvent their own national tax laws. And do you yourself or any of your family members have investments or money in an offshore account?
Yes. No, we do not. I have been entirely and completely transparent about my family finances. That's something that I understood from early on Canadians expect of their leaders. A level of openness, transparency, accountability that demonstrates not just that we are worthy of Canadians' trusts, but that we trust Canadians enough to share what we have as assets and finances. Obviously, the Panama Papers are highlighting some very real concerns that people around the world have about the fact that extremely wealthy people have been very effective at avoiding paying their fair share of taxes. And that's why in this budget, even before the Panama Papers came out, we had allocated an extra $440 million to the Canada Revenue Agency to ensure that they are empowered to go after tax avoidance and tax evasion in a comprehensive way, which also involves us and at the highest level engaging with global leaders around the world to ensure that there is no place to hide anymore, that countries will all work together to ensure that everyone, everywhere, pays their fair share of taxes.
Prime Minister, just a supplementary on the regional issue, Ring of Fire. I'm just wondering, your budget mentioned that you were going to be speaking with the provincial government and municipal and First Nations governments about it. I spoke to an industry leader today who said that it's important to get this ball rolling, at least to put roads into the region by starting the middle of this summer. Do you think that's possible?
We have committed to work with regional, municipal, provincial partners on priorities that put forward. We know that the Ring of Fire means good jobs, means continuing development of the North in ways that hopefully will build the kind of sustained partnerships with Indigenous communities that have been too long absent from the economic growth landscape. And I look forward to having more to say and announce alongside many partners in the coming months.
Olivia Stefanovich, CBC Radio. Prime Minister, during your campaign, you really emphasized green infrastructure and transportation. Here you are funding a big road. I'm just wondering if this fits with what you pledged in your election campaign.
The single most important pledge I made around the economy and the environment was that we're not going to be making choices between the economy and the environment. That people understand that in order to build a strong economy for the present and for the future, we need to make sure we're doing it responsibly and environmentally. For too long, politicians have picked one side or the other of the argument and laid out on it. We know that we need to create economic growth while we innovate and invest in the kind of clean technology and environmental solutions that, quite frankly, is going to keep Canada as a world leader. These are the kinds of things that we're investing in, and we will continue to invest in growing our economy, helping Canadians succeed, and making sure that our children and our children's children have a protected natural environment that will continue to sustain not just our families but our economies for generations to come.
My name is Nick Liard with Q92 and KISS 105.3 Rogers Radio here in Sudbury. When you announced your funding announcement for infrastructure across Canada, how high was Maley Drive and Northern Ontario on your priority list?
It's on the priority list, and that's why we're announcing it today. There are important initiatives right across the country that were simply not prioritized and not invested in, regardless of how priority they were for the previous government. There has always been patterns at various times where governments like to announce monies they're investing and then create so many roadblocks or limitations or conditions that they get the advantage of having announced it and then never actually have to spend it. And I think people rightly suspect that that's what has gone on quite a bit over the past 10 years out of the federal government. And that's why the commitment we made was to invest in our communities, because for me, confident, optimistic places like Sudbury invest in their future, because we know we have a bright future ahead of us. We roll up our sleeves, we get to work building a better tomorrow for our kids and our grandkids, and that's exactly what this announcement is all about.
Martine Laberge, Radio-Canada, mais je vous demanderais de bien vouloir répondre dans les deux langues officielles. La question est en anglais. Merci. Ce soir, il y a une rencontre, en fait, excusez, la question est en anglais, donc je vais parler anglais. How does the private fundraising event tonight for Minister Wilson-Raybould fit within your open and accountable government code?
We have pledged and demonstrated a level of openness and transparency that no federal government has demonstrated before. Not only do we abide by all the rules and principles and engaged in fundraising, making sure there are no corporate donations, no union donations, that there are strict limits on how much an individual can donate, examples that provinces are now looking at adopting as well because of the openness and transparency of what we do. We've also gone a step further as a party, and we are bringing in a new constitution that will allow anyone to sign up and become part of the Liberal Party's deliberations and engagements and visioning of a better future without having to pay any fees at all. This is an unprecedented level of openness, of transparency, of accountability that the Liberal Party has demonstrated and will continue to demonstrate in the years to come. J'ai toujours été très très clair que l'ouverture, la transparence, l'imputabilité est essentielle. C'est pour ça que nous suivons toujours toutes les règles par rapport au financement électoral. Il n'y a pas de dons corporatifs, il n'y a pas de dons de syndicats. Il y a des limites sur les dons par les individus parce que les gens s'attendent à ce que leurs politiciens soient ouverts, redevables et intègres dans leur fonctionnement. Mais en plus de ça, le Parti libéral a pris la décision récemment, et on va le ratifier au mois de mai, d'ouvrir le parti complètement pour qu'on n'ait même pas besoin de payer 10 $ pour participer aux délibérations du Parti libéral. Pour devenir libéral enregistré, on rend ça gratuit. Les autres partis, dont le Parti conservateur, ont décidé de prendre une autre route et vont augmenter les coûts jusqu'à 25 $ pour participer. Je trouve que ce n'est pas la direction de l'ouverture et de la transparence que les Canadiens exigent. Merci.
Good afternoon, Prime Minister. My name is Mary. I'm from the Sudbury Star. I'm wondering if you can talk about federally why you decided to invest in Maley Drive and how it's going to inform the bottom line federally.
Excellent. First of all, the federal government didn't decide to invest in Maley Drive. I don't think it's up to the federal government to be telling Sudburyans where they need a new road. I don't think it's up to the federal government to be drawing lines on a map. I think it's up to the federal government to be listening to the experts we have gathered here, listening to strong voices from the municipal level, from the provincial level, who are thinking long and hard about what priorities are going to advance opportunities for Sudburyans and for the entire region. That's why what I've committed to from the very beginning is to be a present and active partner to municipalities, to the provinces, on investments that are needed. I want to know, as the federal government steps up as a partner, that these are investments that are important to the community, that are part of a plan to grow the economy and create opportunities for citizens and improve quality of life, which we all know that Maley Drive certainly qualifies as contributing to. And on top of that, we need to know that there is a capacity to get it done responsibly. And this council and indeed municipality and province have demonstrated a capacity to get things done, and we are very happy to be partnering with them on your priorities, not the federal government's priorities. Merci beaucoup tout le monde.